What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, 1-2, Freddy's coming for you. 3-4, better lock your door. 5-6, grab a crucifix. 7-8, gonna stay up late. 9-10, never sleep again. It's Desra.
I really wish I knew how to finish that off, but I'm not a big fan of the movies. So, hi! And sitting across from me is Brian Paul.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dive into the PlayStation VR back catalog. The old PlayStation VR games. The things that no one talk about anymore.
So, completely on or off topic, today I was looking at the Reese's Pieces cereal box for my kids. It's Reese's Puffs, I'm sorry.
Reese's Puffs. Love Reese's Puffs.
And it was all about, you could win a free retro music playlist.
Okay.
Guess what retro was, according to Reese's Puffs cereal?
I mean, if like Nirvana's on there, I'm just going to kill myself.
Yeah, that was actually the trivia questions were about like flannel and grunge.
I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, so we are officially retro. Hooray.
So we pick a game at random and we see how it's done. We see how it's aged throughout the course of the days. So what game did we pick? I'm so depressed now. What game did we pick this week, Desert?
So we were picking the retro PSVR game of Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul.
Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic. Released on August 15th, 2017.
Way back when.
Based on the series of hit movies.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity.
Now, this is great because you've never seen a Paranormal Activity movie.
I've never seen the movie, but actually I was super impressed by one thing I found out in researching this.
What's that?
The original movie cost $15,000 to make. It made almost $200 million in the theaters. Mm-hmm. It's on record as being the most profitable movie of all time.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I remember seeing the advertisements for that movie in the theater before other movies, and they're saying, if you want this movie to come to your theater, like they were like, sign this petition online.
Yeah.
Like it was really a guerrilla word of mouth movement. They did an amazing job. In knowing that it cost so little to make, I think I was impressed by the end result even more.
Yeah. So you know, not my genre, but much props to the filmmakers.
Yeah.
Wish I could say something about the game.
So this is based on the movie series.
Yes and no.
I mean,
there's a ghost and there's some mention of video cameras.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
It's very, very loosely tied into the series. I'm wondering how much VRWorks paid for this license.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Here's the weird thing. In reading about this, I'm not sure they paid much of anything. I think Paramount just kind of said, "You make this.
Please make this for us."
So I think they may have gotten paid to make this.
That's true, because Paramount did publish it. Their logo's plastered all over the beginning of this game.
And not only that, their next title to be released is going to be Mission Impossible. So it seems like they might be the pet tie-in company for Paramount. So. Yeah, the relationship there seems a little iffy.
All right.
But anyways.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about how this game plays.
Yeah. So it originally came out with just move support.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, as part of our mandate, we kind of revisit these games when there's been an update, and there's been an update recently which adds the DualShock controllers, which I don't know, Band-Aid on broken bone, I guess.
It's interesting, I'll say that, because I played through at launch with the Move controllers, and I was like, "This is horrible." It took me about 3 hours to get through the game.
Okay,
it's not that long of a game. You can probably blast through in closer to 2 hours. But I will say that most of my time was fumbling with the controls. I was always turning when I wanted to walk, or switching objects in my hand when I wanted to use them. Or
that was the one that killed me. The actual navigation. You read a lot of complaints about that online. I didn't have too much of a problem with that. But so here's the thing: you cycle through your buttons with the triangle, I think. Yeah. And then to use the item, you have to hit the move button. Mm-hmm. To drop or put away the item, use the trigger. Mm-hmm. Which is like the inverse of almost anything you play in any other game, and also intuitively. So I found myself, even after playing this for many, many hours, because I played it through the first time, which took me way too long, but then I was like, you know what? I need to give this a good try. So I actually played through it 3 times total from start to finish.
Excellent.
And even by the end, I was still pulling out my flashlight and then putting it away instead of turning it on.
Yeah.
It's just something that it's intuitively so much like your index finger powers the action. Pulling the trigger, it does the action. It doesn't put things away.
Yeah.
But
So since we've dived straight into the control scheme here,
Yeah.
Let's stay on this topic for
Okay.
a minute. So when they announced that there was going to be a DualShock 4 patch, I was like, oh, sweet, because my biggest complaint about this game was the control scheme. I was like, I really struggled the entire time, and even though it wasn't game breaking, it certainly removed a little bit of the fun when you're doing things like putting objects away when you meant to use them.
Yes.
So when the DualShock 4 patch came out, I was super excited because, we've played scary games before, Resident Evil 7, that used the DualShock 4, Resident Evil 7, and they control like a first-person shooter for the most part, Resident Evil 7. And it's like, why couldn't they just make this thing control like Resident Evil 7?
Nope.
Now, according to the developer, VRWorks, they said because you use two hands, and in games like Resident Evil 7, you don't use two hands. And I was like, well, actually, that's not true. Yes. You just don't use, you still use your hands, you just don't manipulate them in a 3D space.
Correct.
So apparently that making it play more like Resident Evil 7 was just asking a little bit too much for a patch.
Yeah, and making it play more as an intuitive control system was too much to ask. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, okay, you're using your two hands, which means like you're controlling your inventory with the right and left trigger buttons up here. And let's just say you want to put a battery in a flashlight. I shouldn't have to restart the game to run through the tutorial again, so I can remember how to cycle through the inventory with this, so I can pull up a flashlight, then I can cycle through the inventory here to pull up a battery, and then, I don't know, flip the controller upside down, hit the start button, and wiggle my butt to put the battery into the controller. The battery into the flashlight. Yeah.
And what is the problem with just letting us use the analog stick to move without the addition of any other button?
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You got two of them. I mean, it makes no sense. Yeah. So it was the thing. It was like, yeah, and you could see, in reading people's comments and reviews online, it's like, oh, I can't wait till they make a DS patch that'll fix this and everyone will be happy. And no, they did add it, and it really, just stick with the move.
Yeah,
stick with the move.
Going back and playing this for this show to kind of like get my bearings again and like refamiliarize myself with the game, I was like, okay, well, I'll try the DualShock 4 and then I'll try the moves, and I gotta say that the moves are infinitely better. It's nice having a couple hands in 3D space. It's nice to be able to like pick things up and manipulate them and do what you got to do. And yeah, you do acclimate to the locomotion system fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It is the inventory that's the biggest struggle. And the DualShock 4 doesn't really fix the inventory system, so you might as well stick with the moves.
Yeah.
That said,
yeah.
The whole experience of this game is, man, I'm just gonna call the progression system. I don't know if you can call it a progression system.
Okay.
The way you get through the game, is very, very strange.
Well, there's no anything. There's no information given to you. There's no HUD. There's no nothing. There's no hints as to what you're supposed to be doing at any given time, which I can understand from a philosophical point of view, saying, you know what? No, we want our players to come in here and figure out the world as if they were a person thrown into this real situation.
Yep.
Which I get.
This real situation.
Right.
Of paranormal activity, the Lost Soul.
But there's the thing, like, if you were a total stranger with no context thrown into this, you would walk into the house, say, I shouldn't be here, and you'd walk around and leave.
Yeah.
So you need some kind of context. You need to find out, who am I as a character? Why am I walking into this building? What is drawing me to make sure that I need to come in here? I'm not a huge fan, especially in VR games, of like, immersion-breaking cutscenes. But something like that, again, let's throw it back to Resident Evil. You know what? It gives you that little 1-2 minute kind of starting movie to say, here's who your character is, here's the person he's finding, here's why it's important that no matter what, he goes to this place.
Yeah, in fact, there's these little notes and everything everywhere, and there's the one on the front door kind of clues you into who you might be.
But I don't know that.
You don't know that. In fact, I think the note on the door is basically like for the real estate agent and saying the key's where we usually hide it.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a hint than anything else. And yeah, you could be a burglar in this place. You could be a burglar walking up and see the note and go, oh, well, let's go find the hiding place for the key.
And actually, on that note, you would never find the key because you would look at places where people would hide things. This isn't hidden. It's just lying on top of something.
Yeah, it's hard not to spoil things in this game, and I'm gonna throw a minor spoiler warning out there. The video that's playing behind me, like I just blast through the first half hour of the game, and there's gonna be some minor spoilers, maybe some jump scares, maybe some puzzle solutions.
Oh, but you're not spoiling jump scares because they're randomized.
Well, there's a random scare generator.
Yes.
It's so the big scares in the game are all scripted. And then there's the very highly touted advertised random scare generator, which is sort of the as you go through the game, little things are supposed to get you here and there.
Well, and not just the randomized scares, but also randomized object placement. If you play through a few times and pay close attention, it's supposed to be a different game each time because some of the objects you're supposed to find are in different places than they are.
In all fairness, they're so randomly placed anyway. It doesn't matter where they are.
Right, and that's kind of one of the other issues is they've got this weird error between so again, let's go back to Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Not everything in the house is interactable. Most things that you can interact with have something to do with the story. Either they're giving you clues about what you're supposed to be doing, or they're giving you background. The creator of this game decided we're going to make just about everything interactable, and maybe 2% of them matter.
Sure.
This
is a here's your haunted house, and good luck finding your way out. It's almost as if they wanted to create like an escape the room style puzzle game, but it's not so much puzzle, it's just escape the room by process of elimination.
Yeah, and so with this combination of no heads-up display, no hints system, and then the ability to pick up many, many objects that have nothing to do with the story, you find yourself, and Ryan can attest to this, I was texting him saying, okay, is there something wrong here? Am I doing something going to change drastically? Because I literally spent half an hour walking from one side of the house to the other with no scares happening, no plot things triggered. Just like, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to do next? Because I can't find or see anything.
And it's really the worst thing ever when you get a text from Des when he's playing a game because it's not going to be good. It's like this. It's always the same thing. It's like, does this get better?
Right.
And the answer is usually no.
Yeah.
But I brought up the progression system or the way the game progresses, and we sort of got off track. So I want to sort of bring the point home here that without any guidance, without any indication of what you're supposed to be doing whatsoever, you're doing a lot of random things and you're exploring the entire house that's unlocked at the time until you find something. And it could be anything. It could be an item that's totally unrelated to anything else. It could be a key, maybe, right? And then sometimes you pick up an item and you in the distance you hear a door unlock.
Yeah.
And then your mission is to go through the entire house, basically.
Try every door again.
And reach out and grab every single handle and see if that door suddenly unlocks. Or if you find the key, go try that key in every single lock that's available. This is the progression system. It's, again, trial and error. It's just wandering around till something happens.
Well, I did discover this. The keys, actually, you can't tell which keys to go to which door. Because if you get down there and look real close, and you have to look real close, you can actually see a pattern on the doors.
And it matches the key.
And that matches the key.
It's Resident Evil, kids.
But
Resident Evil 1.
It really is. But it's really hard to see that because,
I never knew this, by the way. I've played through the game a couple of times, and I've never noticed this.
But
I just try it in every single door.
Yeah, but only certain doors actually have that key anyways. And if you're just kind of standing at your normal height, it's really hard to see with the combination of the darkness of the room and the weird scaling the resolution does. Like, I don't know if you had this. Oh, here's a letter I need to pick up. Oh, I can't see that. Wait a second. Oh, and the game knows I'm looking at it now. Suddenly the resolution drops into focus.
And here's the difference between the PlayStation 4 version and the PlayStation 4 Pro version.
Yeah.
Right out the gate, the PlayStation 4 Pro version was definitely the better version.
Okay.
I feel like they never really got around to really making the PS4 version the way it should be. Because I feel like on the Pro, it does a good job. It creates a solid environment. The resolution issues aren't really there at all. You pick up something and you're like, oh, I can read it right away.
Okay. Yeah, that it definitely felt like you picked something up and then your character put on their reading glasses. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so that's funny that I noticed the key. I saw the keyhole things and you didn't.
The random
Pro, yeah.
scare generator. Let's knock this out again before we get too far away from it.
Okay.
These are random scares. These are literally you walk by a door and suddenly it starts shaking.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the thunder and lightning from outside. I think that's a little randomized.
Well, I also found there were times in my different playthroughs where like the ghost thing would show up.
Okay.
That it wasn't there before. Like all of a sudden the hallways would start to crackle and you'd hear the noise and so that was like something that the first time I played through, I assumed that was only happening during like triggered story points, but no, apparently that's also one of the random scares. So
okay. I feel like for all the amount that they touted this thing as like a big to do, it feels like a lot of wasted time.
Well, here's the other thing is it's truly random, which means
sometimes you might not see it at all.
Right. Which, so you might, like I said, a half an hour literally of just nothing happened in the game.
Yeah.
Now, some person might play this and all of a sudden they're going to get bang, bang, bang scared, all the time because it is truly random. So your mileage will definitely vary. And the problem is, if you're getting scared all the time, then it's not going to be scary anymore. Right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something about the random scare generator.
Yeah.
Is that I'm going to say I played through 2.5 full times.
Okay.
And I didn't see anything different except for during my full second playthrough, a lot of the scares that I saw the first time just didn't happen. Like
okay.
So I had a much less scarier second playthrough because I didn't get something in place of that or it happened somewhere else. It just didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I remember this being a lot scarier the first time, and I was like, oh, that's right, because it was literally was scarier. But you kind of touched on something real quick here.
Okay.
There are two things about this game that make me want to ask you lots of questions.
Okay.
One, motion sickness.
Yes.
You suffer from motion sickness in VR.
Yeah.
Not all the time. You're getting much better at it. What's the deal? How did this game work for you?
I would say the basic, I'm forgetting now. Was there a smooth turning option, or was it just okay? So yeah, that's right. So the basic moving back and forth was no problem, but I still have to stick to click turning.
Okay.
Smooth turning, apparently that is my kryptonite. Just in any game situation, I smooth turn and it's game over pretty quickly. So yeah, with the click turning enabled, I was fine as far as the motion sickness goes.
And the other part of this, you don't get scared by scary games. The things that petrify me, the things that scare me and make me take off my headset and go, Brian, it's just a game. Don't worry, it's all fine. Go get some water and then put the thing back on and then do this and let's repeat the process every 20 minutes. That doesn't happen to you.
No, and well, here's the thing with this game. So, as we've talked about before, for me, it's just like I read the story beats and I read the environment and like, oh, okay, here comes the thing I'm supposed to be scared of, and I'm not scared of it. With this truly random scare generator, there were at least 2 times I can think of that I jumped.
Nice.
Well, not really, because it was no more scary or skillful than someone walking up behind you with a balloon and going pop.
No, but listen, as at this point, I'm willing to take some dude walking up behind you with a balloon and going pop because that's better than we've gotten pretty much at any other time.
Yeah, but I don't
care how you got scared. Right. If it happened, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, but see, that's I can't give the developers credit for this because it's just random. Like the things that were supposed to scare me as far as the story goes didn't. Like there's a time where the crazy lady in the house shows up behind you and it's supposed to be this big scary thing and it's like, oh, let's see, I'm focused on here. Hey, suddenly I can't move or anything. I wonder if something's sneaking up behind me. Oh, and there it is.
Yeah. They disable your ability to run sometimes, and
right. Yeah. And so the things that are supposed to scare you because they're part of the plot, okay, this is broken. But the just truly random things that the developers have no control over, those, I guess, twice those got me. Yeah. And once it was because it was my second playthrough, my third playthrough this afternoon, and there was something that had never happened before when I looked at it, and it happened this time. I guess we can give. But I wish, I would say, I would love more than anything for the developers set up this environment, they set up the scare, and it scared the bejesus out of me. Yeah. But even that, it was just like, oh, I'm like, oh, okay.
That's in fact, there were certain I'm going to call them pivotal moments in the movies that I was waiting for some of those events to happen during the game.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, like, you know, here we are. We're in a house that's supposed to be in the paranormal activity universe.
Mm-hmm.
And none of the stuff that's happening in the movies is happening here.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what a bunch of missed opportunities, because, you know, for people who hadn't seen the movie, or people like me who have, you know, you walk into the kitchen, and for some of you guys know, like, what happened in, I think, the second movie in the kitchen. I'm way off. They're all kind of the same, to be honest. It was like one of the scariest moments in a movie that I'd ever seen, because it made me jump so hard.
Yeah.
And I was walking through the kitchen, and I was on edge waiting for it to happen, and then it didn't. Oh. I was like, if it had, I probably would have had a heart attack, and it didn't, and I was just severely disappointed. Yeah. It's like there's so many missed opportunities and I don't know if it has to do with the random scare generator, or because the game just wasn't scary enough.
Yeah.
But the game, I don't mean to say that, because I do think the game did its job for me.
Okay.
I do think that I was walking through this house, and I was very tense, because, as I always say, I never know what the developers have in store for us. I never know, like, what they're capable of. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember playing through Stifled at the beginning, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be like super scary or just like a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And so for the first hour, you're like really on edge. You're like, what are they capable of? What are they going to do to me? And then you find out that they don't do too much to you at all.
And actually, I think that's a nice way of putting it too. Is like, we're 2 years in now, and this game was a year in. We know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
We know what developers are capable of, and this is just not it. I mean, I don't know.
I'm just going to reiterate the fact that I had some solid jump scares.
Yeah.
I jumped a bunch of times. I got a solid. This game probably took me over the first time close to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then every time after that, like much less time.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can blast through the whole game in probably like 20, 30 minutes if you know what you're doing.
That's exactly what I was like. One of my run-throughs, the run-through today, I was like, oh, I'm going to try hardcore mode. Like, maybe this is going to be scarier. No.
Oh, no. It's just like you only
get
die
one,
once.
You only get one die. And then, can we mention that?
I mean, we can, but it's still very confusing.
Well, yeah, you don't know when you've died or not.
You have to look at your hand and you see a Band-Aid on it.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, it means you've died once.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
because there's one time I died, and like, also, this thing happened, and I ended up in another room. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's very
did they
confusing.
Teleport me somewhere, or?
Yep. They should just remove death from this altogether, because it makes no sense in the context of the game. Mm-hmm. This is a haunted house simulator for all intents and purposes, with minimal puzzle solving and minimal for sure. And they really should have just left it at that. The hardcore mode with you only get one death, it's so pointless, because if you have to restart the whole thing over after you die once, it's just absolutely silly.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it.
Okay.
Although I do want to say that I, as hard as I tried to find a price tag for this game, like with how the amount that it originally launched for.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure this was a $40 game at launch.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And now if you look at the store, it's $30 digital, and if you buy the physical retail copy, this is always strange to me. Mm-hmm. The retail copy goes for $20.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, sweet, $20. Like, but why is the physical copy cheaper than the digital version?
It makes no sense. I mean, at this point, I think it's probably because the retailers just want to get it off their shelves, and they're clearing shelves.
It launched at that price. It launched, and I was like, this is going to be like a low print run. I should pick one up just for just for the collection. And I think now they're trying to get rid of it because it's not selling probably.
Yeah, and yeah, rightfully so. Here's the thing: like, there's an alternate ending. There are a lot of other findables and things like that you can go and unlock. Yep. But here's I went through this 3 times for you people. Okay.
You owe him something.
Yeah. Well, I know
he wants a hug.
You don't owe me anything. This is what I signed on for. But if we go back and I'm going to ring the Moss bell again. You're probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but that was what a lot of people consider very expensive for a very short experience. And there's the whole scroll unlockables. I enjoyed going back and finding every single one of those because I enjoyed going into that world and the detail of it. I don't enjoy going back into this. And there are people, you can platinum this. There are all sorts of other cool bonuses, and if you want to do it, more power to you. But it's just not an enjoyable world. And that's not saying, because, well, Des doesn't like horror. It's like, no, I could and probably will go back and play Resident Evil 7 again. Okay. Rush of Blood, I've played that multiple times already. Those are games that are scary and disturbing and all those other things, but they are fun to play and to be a part of. This isn't fun.
We should probably, there's no good place to interject this, so we should probably just do it
VR?
Very oddly. We'll put it in right here.
Okay.
This is not VRWorks' first game or first creation in VR.
No, it is not. This is so fun. Yeah. So
I wonder if I can find footage of this.
Yeah. So this is something that came up. We both walked into recording this saying we found this cool thing out, but as our discussions panned out, we realized maybe we don't know as much as we do. What we're talking about is VRWorks' first project was the first, or what's claimed to be the first full-length VR film, Jesus VR.
The story of Christ.
Yes, it is the biography of Christ. It was actually directed by the same guy who was the executive producer of Passion of the Christ, so you're getting quality. It is. It's exactly that. It is a Jesus movie filmed in 360 VR.
Now, is it 360 VR?
It's 360, not 360 3D, which would be cool. It's just 360.
Wait. So 360 VR and 360 are two different things. Yeah, because when we start filming the Gamescast, it's going to be in 180 VR.
Correct.
Which means the actual VR dimension, but only 180. So is it 360? Like it's a 360 video?
It's a 360 film, but it's not three-dimensional.
Okay, so just 360.
Yes.
Wow,
mapped to the inside of a sphere.
What a bunch of garbage.
Yep.
The deal we found, we did see that this was shown at Sundance.
It was shown. Yeah, it exists. It is a fully finished product.
But on the VRWorks website, it says available on Oculus 5, PSVR, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Like pretty much every single thing ever made, coming spring 2017. Which I don't know if you guys have been checking your calendars recently, but it hasn't been 2017 for a really long time.
Yeah. And I saw it was supposed to be released in Easter, and we're coming up on Easter this weekend.
Following year.
Yeah.
So maybe that didn't pan out so well.
Yeah. So we're going to film this. We'll put this up. If we find an update to it by the time this episode goes up, we'll put something in the comments to point you to it if you really want to spend an hour and a half in your VR helmet watching Jesus.
Yeah, and there's also news that VRWorks is also making a Mission Impossible VR game.
Yeah.
Which I mean, sure. I feel like this has been a very wishy-washy episode. I feel like even though you guys know I like scary games, I feel like I've been a little wishy-washy on this. We know that scary games aren't really your thing, but even above and beyond that, this doesn't seem to be working for you. So let's rate this.
Sure.
What is our scale?
So our scale is, number one is you have to buy this. If you have a PSVR, this has to be in your library. Just stop listening to me now. Go and get this. 2 is, it's okay. If it's a genre you really, really like, check it out. If it's on sale, sure, pick it up. We're not going to make fun of you for buying it. 3 is do not buy this.
Yeah.
This is a piece of junk. We do not want to encourage these people. Friends don't let friends buy crap. So vote with your dollars and don't buy this. So Brian, what do you think? 1, 2, or 3?
Well, I feel like I say this all the time. I feel like it's really easy to call every game a 2.
It is.
Right? Because then you could say, listen, if it's on sale for cheap enough, it's worth checking out.
Sure.
Right? And I gotta say, for the $20 I got the physical copy for, I'm not horribly disappointed with the end result. I've definitely bought Blu-rays for more than $20 that take less time to watch.
Yeah.
That are less enjoyable. You guys know I love scary games. I love scary movies, and this sort of puts it all together. It's got lots of issues. It's got control issues. It's got random scare issues. It's got pacing issues, and you have absolutely no idea what to do for a very long period of time. I will say that one of the updates gave it non-VR support, so you can play this thing on your flat screen. You can just play it. I mean, and here's the thing about that: even bad scary games are effective for me in VR.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that bad scary games are not effective on a flat television.
No, definitely.
So I don't recommend that you play it that way at all, because I think being in this haunted house is the reason for playing it. If it wasn't in VR, I don't know if I'd be that interested at all.
Yeah.
And you can play it in non-VR, and you let me know. So it's a 2, because if you're like me and you like scary movies and you find it on sale, and if you get the physical copy for $20 or less, or the digital copy goes on sale, as it does, it's a 2. Is it a strong 2? No. It's not something I really recommend anyone run out and buy, as soon as they see a good price. But if you need another horror experience, Dylan Gladstone, then check this one out. It's not bad for the right price.
Yeah, I'm gonna shockingly disagree. But here's why. I'm gonna say a 3, and here's why. You're a fan of the Paranormal Activity films.
I own all 5 of them.
All right,
6. Like I said, they're all the same. I don't know.
Would you say this adds to, or fills out, or even reminds you slightly of any of the films?
I mean, there's a house, and there's scary things happening in it.
Okay, so can I recommend a movie called House with William Katt in it? It came out in late 80s.
And there's demons.
Sure.
And stuff happens.
But anything specifically tied into...
No, absolutely not.
Right.
And that's sort of like at the very beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't matter whether you've seen the movies or not, because it's so loosely tied to the subject matter that it doesn't matter if you've seen it or not.
And that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Something that is branded this thing. I mean, imagine if it was a Star Wars game that had no lightsabers, right?
I feel like those have come out.
Well, but that had nothing to do with the story or the plot or even the universe or the characters that you know and love.
The Masters of Terras Kasi.
Again, but that still has to do with...
True.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, push the point home that there's been a lot of bad Star Wars games.
Oh, yeah, no, God, yes, there's been tons of them. So it's not really for the Paranormal Activity fan.
Well, no, but it is. It is because it's still the same idea. Even it's for the Paranormal Activity fan, not because it's based on the license, but because the movies and the game are the same idea. Here's some scary shit, and we're gonna try to scare you for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
But that's every horror movie.
Okay. So, but it would have sold way less well if it's called Every Horror Movie: The Lost Soul.
And that's it. I mean, like for instance, so the whole concept, if I'm not mistaken, is it's security camera footage.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's the idea is like, no, they put up all these cameras to catch all this stuff happening. Maybe that could have been a mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
The most we get is you walk through a room and a TV comes on and you see a 3-second loop of the same thing over and over again. Yeah. It's like, okay, if this is Paranormal Activity, like I know nothing about the series, and I know camera footage is part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe make that thing. Your character is setting up these cameras or something like that. So I
got you.
It's not doing that. There are way better horror experiences in the VR. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this is Des prejudicing at horror games. So, those of you who are huge horror fans, take that for what it's worth. But
no, I'm really glad you're here because I let horror games cloud my vision sometimes. I let the fact that they are horror, the fact that they do make me jump, I let that supersede the fact that maybe at its core the game's not very good, that the game mechanics aren't fantastic. In this game, by no stretch of the imagination is fantastic or even really well done. But there's enough there. The exploring this house, not knowing what's coming, enough jump scares for me to make the trip worthwhile. Especially at a budget price if possible.
At a budget price, sure. At what they're $40, thanks, but no.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. I'm a little curious to know, what our viewers are thinking about this, what the Game Cats think of Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul, because especially when it launched, it was too expensive. Like there was no chance in hell that I could have recommended this game for $40.
Yeah.
Right. And I went back and I watched my old review, and that was basically it. I was like, hey, here's your scary movie game for the year, but it's too expensive.
Yeah.
That was sort of everything I said. And now that it's slightly less expensive, what do you guys think? Did you guys pick up a physical copy too? But let us know what other games you want us to talk about. Obviously, there's a ton of other PlayStation VR games, and there's more by the day. Woo-hoo. Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's getting out of control, to be honest with you.
There's some good ones coming up.
Yeah, like Marvels. We're going to do Marvels. You want to do Marvels?
I'll do Marvels, sure.
On the next episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. No, probably not. All right, that's it. For another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Desra.
And we'll see you next week.